Hello, today we're going to talk about laminates. In a prior video, which I'll link, we finished up a couple projects, some 5x7 arrangements to put in frames, some bookmarks, a couple other things that we're going to put coatings on, meaning laminates of some sort today, to use in cards or other situations. And we're going to finish up some bookmarks with some hot laminate. This is going to be probably a long video, so if I'm talking about something or demonstrating something you're not interested in, just use the timeline to fast forward. So having said that, let's get started. The first thing I want to do is go ahead and show you how the 5x7s that we worked on turned out, and if you watched my process video, you will see them before they were put in the frame. I went ahead and did the framing off camera because that's pretty straightforward, but I will talk about what I did real quick and show you how they turned out. This is the one that had the cardinal flowers and the bird's foot trefoil, and this is a synthetic frame, although it looks like wood and it's beautiful. I love the ornate touches on it. See if you can see that. And it's got a easel back so that you can stand it up. And for that, it came with the glass already in it and the easel backing. I will be putting my information back here, which I have not done yet. So what I did was I washed the glass, I put in the glass, I put in the pressed flower arrangement, and then I put in a backing cardstock, and then I put this back on, and then cinched it all down. And then, like I said, then I'll put my logo and information on the back. So that's how this one turned out, and personally I'm very proud of it. I think it turned out beautifully. The other one that we worked on was this one. This is in a genuine or solid oak frame, and I put a bluish color mat on it because I like these blues and pinks and types of reds together. This is anemone, the late summer, early fall blooming anemone, and some larkspur and some coral bells and some Queen Anne's lace. And then again, this is an easel frame, same thing, with the layering that I just talked about for the other one. So that's what I did with these two. These are now finished and ready to snap pictures of and go ahead and get them on the website. Then we're going to get, I have things all over the place here because we're going over so much, so excuse me while I go off camera to find things. We're going to do bookmarks today, and because I haven't glued these on to their cardstock yet, we're going to do that now, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about different kinds of laminates. So let's go do that so that can dry while we're doing something else. So what I do is I have a lot of these cards already cut to size. These are something like 2x6. And what I'm going to do now is get some tweezers. I'm going to decide, I've got 3 colors that I use, and I'm going to decide, what color do I want? For this orange, I'm probably going to put it on this natural color, and I'll probably do one of each, and then I'll probably put this one on blue, and I'm going to put this one on, it's kind of a lavender. I'm not sure how it shows up on your screen. Now usually what I'll do I do tend to do things in bulk. I'll cut a bunch of these out at once, and then I'll usually put my logo and information on the back, and I generally arch these, and I usually put my arch on here, but I've ran out of those and I didn't do that yet, so I'll do that after I actually, you know what? I have to put my logo on here before I, oh, that was good. That was not very bright. Don't I have any with a logo on? You can take a nap now. Oh, okay, it's my lucky day. I do. Okay. Sorry about that. I just got to thinking that once I laminate these, I can't stamp my logo on the back because it won't take it. So let's go ahead and let's put, that's what I meant about the arch. I do the arch there and then I stamp the back. So we'll put this one here, this one here. Phew, I did have a few. And I have a natural one. Okay. Sorry for that little side trip. The things that happen when you're doing live video. Unintended consequences. All right, we're back in business. There's nothing fancy about this. All I'm going to do is run one quick strip of glue on here. All I want to do is hold this down or 2 times so that when we laminate them, they don't move around. I'm not trying to actually glue it 100%. And then I want to try to get this as centered as possible on here. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we're going to do the same thing to this one. And I'm just using a permanent glue stick, acid free. And this one's by Avery, but really you can use anything to glue it down, but I just find this to be very easy, simple, dries fast. Okay, there's another one. And then we'll do this last one here. And I actually have one more that I want to put on cardstock. Remember this one that we did in the other video? So I was thinking that would look good on a tan. Do I have one that has? Yes, okay. So same thing. Yeah, I don't know if I like that now. No. Decisions. I'm going to go with the natural or the tannish one just because we've got greens and yellows and I think that this stays with the color scheme better. So again, hopefully I put these all the right way. Yeah, okay. And remember, we arched this, so I'm not going to center this because this is going to get cut and arched. So this is going to be down just probably... Actually, you know what? When I make this one, it's going to be a shorter bookmark. I can cut it any way I want just because there's pencil back there. I don't have to cut that high. This is going to be a shorter bookmark because I don't want all this blank space up there. So I'm just going to position it probably about like this, just to give it a little bit of clearance at the top and the bottom. And then when I cut it, I probably won't even arch it. I'll probably put a different kind of a top on this one since it's a different kind of bookmark. A lot of times when you're creating, as many of you know, you start out with one idea and then you end up doing something totally different than what you figured you were going to do. So now we're going to set these aside. And I'm just going to stack them carefully. And we're going to set these aside until we're ready to laminate them. I'll set them under the tripod here. Okay. Now we can start talking about the different laminates. In keeping with the theme of pictures, meaning something that you're putting under glass or under something that doesn't have adhesive. And remember in the other videos I talked about color enhancing flowers and that pretty much anything could go under something that doesn't have adhesive because you don't have to worry about reactions with whatever medium that you're using to color enhance your flowers. And here's two examples. This is Duralar, which is an acetate, and it's clear. And you can see that, I'll bring it up a little bit. It's this particular one comes with 25 sheets. It's 9 by 12 and it's 0.005 clear film. And it comes, you can get different widths, but this is fine for what I do with it. It's good enough. And it comes protected with this little piece of tissue. It's very clear. Get a flower to show you. See how nice and clear it is? And it gives you kind of a gloss finish. And I have these little, I call them curio frames, and they don't come with glass. So when I do these curio pictures, I will use this acetate or the transparency, which I'll show you in just a minute. Sometimes I'll run them through the hot laminate, but generally speaking, I will use one of these kinds of materials and just cut it to size. These were unfinished frames that I stained and then put some gold on the raised surfaces here. And then I don't know if I'll do a video on these or not, but what I do is when they're done, I don't put a mat or anything. They're just like that. They have a picture. When they're done, I put little tiny brads in through here so that they hold this down. And then I take some brown paper or brown paper bag, anything that's brown paper, and I dampen the paper. And then I run glue around this edge, like this. And I just use Elmer's glue. And then I use a toothpick to smooth it a little bit. Then I put the damp paper, I stamp my logo first on the damp brown paper because I don't want to do it after I put it on here. So my logo stamped brown paper, it's cut a little bit larger than this because I don't cut it down flush with the frame until after it dries. So I take the brown paper, I put the damp paper, I put it on top, and then of course I press it down, kind of pull it out a little bit like you're doing a canvas or something, and then let it dry. And then once it dries, I take the scissors and I go along here, and then if there's any other cleanup, I'll take a little piece of sandpaper or something and sand it smooth on the edge. What the damp paper does, by dampening, not wet, but by dampening the brown paper, if you're going to brown paper back the back of a picture frame, and it doesn't have to be small, it could be any size. The reason for that is because as the paper dries, it tightens. And so you get a nice taut back, and it works really, really well. Sometimes there's just enough lip here that those magnets, the sheet type magnets, will fit in here. And sometimes, actually most of the time, I will put magnets back here too, so that somebody can use it either as a curio picture on a little mini frame. I have little mini easels. I'll show you that. Just a minute, let me grab one. I have these little mini easels. So someone can use it as a curio, and it can be horizontal or vertical, or they can use it as a magnet. So I'll do it as a double purpose, and I generally use that. In keeping with the acetate, the other one that I have, that I'll just show you just because, give you ideas, is this is transparency. This is just, you know, anybody who's been in audio, video, and this is, see if it has a thickness on it. 20 sheets. This can go through the printer so that when you're doing your overheads, using it for overhead projectors, you can, a lot of people who do PowerPoint presentations and stuff will use this stuff. I do not see a thickness on here. It does kind of annoy me when people don't tell you what the thickness is. I don't see it. But again, it's actually, this is, get a piece of white paper. There's a little flaw in the acetate there. This is this seems to be not much, but almost just slightly satin finish. Because when you, but it could be my imagination because I'm seeing all these sheets on top of each other and they're looking to me like they're satin. But yeah, so it's nice and clear too. It feels, I don't know, it doesn't really feel a whole lot different than the other one as far as the weight. Just trying to see if I could give an opinion on. This one almost feels a little bit more stiff or thicker, but we're probably talking a hair, so anyway, there's that. So if you're covering your flowers in some sort of frame or other way, and you don't need something adhesive, here's a couple of ideas. Now we're going to get into covers that have adhesives. And, oh, here, okay. So here I have, I'll talk about the Xyron. This is from the Xyron. I'll talk about that in a minute. That's a whole little sub-segment. Here's something that I bought at the store, and truth be told, I've never actually used it because I use contact paper, but it's clear adhere laminating sheets, do it yourself. This is pretty old. I've had it for a long time. You can find, I'm sure they make lots of similar products, even if this specific one isn't on the market, and it was only $1.44 when I bought it, so I imagine that's price is long gone. And 9 by 12, I don't see where it tells the thickness. And I did open it. How many sheets are in here? 2 sheets. Okay, so if you hold on just a minute, I'm more than willing to my nails are so horrible because I craft so much. There's no way that between that and yard work, there is no nails. Let me get a little flour or something and we'll put it under there and see how it looks. Yeah, that worked great. Can you see that? I was wondering if I blur out when I get too close. So yeah, if you don't have a hot laminating machine and you just want to do some lamination, just go grab yourself a couple of sheets of this from one of the craft stores or hobby stores, and it seems to work fine. It is a pretty high gloss, similar to the glossiness of the acetates. And you know, I imagine you could probably put some sort of adhesive on the back of acetate if that's all you have and you want an adhesive, but I haven't really played around with that, but that's something that you could try. So that's one kind. And then this is actually some clear, these are clear labels. And they're Avery. I've had these for a really long time too. Let's see if they still have any sticky on them. Let's see. They're not super sticky, but they are sticky enough. Let's take one and find another piece to put under there. What I want to do with this one is I want to sandwich it. Okay, that's sticky. And whenever I'm putting adhesive on top of something, I always roll. So roll. Okay, so this label is, it works, and it gives it a frosted, see if you can see it. It gives it a frosted appearance. So if you want something that's a little bit frosty for a different technique, then try some clear labels, or certain brands of clear labels. Maybe some brands of clear labels are more clear than others, but I think that's pretty for a frosted effect. So there's clear labels. And then this is, well, I'll just show you what I did. I have a Xyron. This is an 850. I'm not even sure. You can probably still find them. But I have a couple of these because I use them in my business. And I've had these for years and years. And so I have two actually. And I have laminate in one of them. And then I have strictly permanent sticky and adhesive for making stickers and product labels in the other one. This specific one has laminate on the front and high-tech adhesive on the back. And what I did with this is I simply ran this backing. Whenever I make labels or do anything with either of the Xyrons, you get this backing paper, which is very Teflon-like. Nothing, hardly, well, barely anything sticks to this. So always save your backing papers, like that coal laminate that I just showed you that I put the little flower under. If you use a sheet like that, save your pieces, because there's a lot of times when you want something that nothing will stick to for other projects, and so save them. And I save all of these scraps. But what I did here is I ran it through and then I cut it, and that's all that is, and I'll show you why I did that in a minute. When I make things, you can either take your flower arrangement, like for example this. If I wanted to put this coal laminate on this on the one side, they also make double-sided Xyron laminates too, if you don't want to use a hot laminating machine. And you could run this through laminate, that's laminate top, laminate bottom, and you could run this through and then cut it down. So that's another option instead of hot laminate. And you just simply tuck it in, get it to where it gets started, and then roll it through, which I won't do because I want to use the hot laminating machine. I was playing around and I'm going to put it out there, but I was playing around, and you don't really even need one of these Xyron machines. If you're just doing something small and you don't want to invest in a machine, Xyron actually makes a smaller machine. I can't remember if it's 5 inches or something like that, and I think they even have a smaller one. You might want to check what's on the market. I don't remember for sure. I know I've seen a couple different sizes over the years, and those would probably be a little bit more affordable for smaller scale. But I also took one of my cartridges and didn't put it in the machine and separated, when it comes out, let me show you. I separated the, okay, here's the cartridge. I separated the one cartridge from the other. This side on this one is has the backing, the non-stick backing, and then this one is clear with the sticky. This is sticky, and this is just the backing with sticky. Actually, there's sticky on one side, and then the backing, I think. Well, anyway, something like that. But what I did was they come stuck together so you can run it through the machine. I put them apart, and I just used the side I wanted. If I wanted sticky, like on my other machine, I just set something on it and picked up the tackiness. And then this one, which is what I'm going to demonstrate here, is a way to get the, I'm mumbling, I'm sorry, as a way to get the laminate off for use. Anyway, the point is that you can buy a cartridge, a smaller cartridge or a larger cartridge, and just take the side that you want. Do you want the laminate? Do you want the sticky? What do you want to do? And then you can actually put something on or put it over your project and not even use the machine. You have to be a little careful, obviously, because it's sticky, and that's why saving these pieces are nice, because you can put this down on one edge while you're working, and I'll be using that technique later. So anyway, that's probably enough on the Xyron. But you can use it in the machine, or there are ways to just use the cartridges for the attributes of the cartridges. They have double-sided laminate, one side laminate, one side sticky. They've got one side sticky only. They used to have a magnet with sticky on one side, and then other ones. So they make quite a few different cartridges that you can check out. The reason why I wanted to show you, I'm getting some, where'd I put it? I wanted to be organized. while I'm thinking about where I put it, I'm going to plug in and turn on an iron, which is what I'm doing now, and the laminating machine, because we're going to get into hot stuff here, and we need for them to heat up. So while we're talking about some other things, okay, those are plugged in. The iron is on, I just can't get my light. Okay, the iron is on low. The iron is on the low setting. So low delicates. It's just well-used, cheap iron. I have it sitting over here on a piece of vermiculite board so that it doesn't heat up anything on my table. And then I have a little ironing board in the back we'll bring over when it's relevant. And then here is the laminating machine, which I'm going to turn on. And you can hear it moving. So I'll set it off to the back. It's kind of heavy. Okay. I want to, on the subject of backing, sticky backs like the Xyron and that type of thing, what I like about the Xyron cartridges is that you can make stickers. And so let me show you a couple of stickers that I've made. So here's some. What I did was I made little arrangements on a sheet of paper, and you know, any kind of deco paper. It's driving me nuts. Where did I put all the paper? Oh. Alright, well, I don't know where it went. Anyway, find yourself some decorative paper. And then you can make these stickers. And what I did is I took a sheet of paper, just like this, and then I made a bunch of arrangements. Like I put a little arrangement here, and a little arrangement here, so on and so forth. And I spaced them far enough apart so that when I got done, I could cut them to the size that I wanted using a die cutting machine or scissors or anything that you want or might have around, fancy edge scissors. So here's, you can see, and all of these have a sticky back, so that you just, they were run through. Actually, these were run through that Xyron that I just showed you with the sticky on the back. But see, when you peel that off, I don't know if we're blurring out, but when you peel this off, this is sticky, and you can use them as a sticker. So all of these have stickers on the back. But that's what I did. I took a piece of paper, and then I made my little arrangements, and I did a bunch of sheets of them, and then I cut them out with different scissors. And I did different sizes. And these are all with the Xyron, so you can see what the Xyron laminating does, how that laminate works. Okay, so that's an idea for you. I also took, again, I put these flowers on the backing, and then I ran them through the die cutting machine with a fancier die. And so this one is, I like to make elements When I say I'm making something and I have no idea what I'm going to use it for, it's because I like to make elements. I made some mini journals, the real small ones, and I put some of these on that. And you could use them for a card. You could put them on make a magnet, put them on a backing, like put them on wood, or put it on, well, anything. You could put it on anything that has a little structure. If you want to make a magnet, you could put it on cardstock. The other ones that I just showed you, you could make smaller ones for envelope seals. These I just wanted to use this. I really like this die, so I just wanted to make a couple of little embellishments. This is using contact paper, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And what I did with these is the paper was larger, like a larger square, and I put the flower down, then I put the contact paper down, and then I cut the contact paper to the size of the bigger paper, so that when I ran it through the die cutting machine, of course there wasn't anything sticky, and then the die cutting machine cut this out. So you can run contact paper and laminates through the die cutting machine, and it works just fine. On the subject of contact paper, all right, I have got to get a piece of nice paper, and I don't know where. Oh, here. No, I'll just go grab some off in the cupboard. I'll just grab a piece of parchment paper. Okay, so I want to demonstrate how I put down contact paper. So we are going to take a couple of flowers. I got some glue here. And we're just going to do something simple. Remember from the other thing I showed you, I just used a dab of glue. We're going to put a little bit of glue. We'll do a couple different ones. And I'm just putting enough glue on so that when we put the contact paper down, okay, we'll leave it at that. And then we'll make this one a little bit bigger. This will be a little bigger of an arrangement. And then let's put some greenery around. That's pretty big. Okay. And then let's see if we have some different something for. Okay. I think for the Johnny Jump Up is what I think that one is we're just going to use something really wispy and just do something really small. Okay. All right, and then in the interest of time, we're just gonna, if you watch my other videos, you see how I obsess about this stuff, but in the interest of time here today, I'm going to try to be as expeditious as possible. Oh, I broke that. Come back here. Alright, well that's fine. We'll just put in another one. Okay, and then I think we need something over the top of that. When in doubt, and when we're in a hurry, we're going to use Queen Anne. Oh, good, I do. I was wondering, do I have another piece of that same kind of foliage that we just did? And the answer is yes, because... Boy, that one broke too. Oh, I got another one. It's the last one, so we got to make it count. Okay. Alright, so I guess we'll leave that one. I wish I had one more orange piece there. I know there's some here somewhere. If I don't find it pretty quickly, I will okay, well, I don't see it. In case you're wondering, I've got a bunch of flowers behind me that I was looking to see. So, alright, we will go alright, I just felt like we needed something over here. Alright, we'll leave that. And since we were on the subject of Queen Anne's, and we have it handy, Just go ahead and finish up. Okay, and I think we'll do the same thing to the hydrangea. This is a larkspur, hydrangea, viola, Montbretia. Okay, now we'll let that dry for a minute, and while that dries, we'll talk about hot laminates. But you can see what I do when I'm making stickers. Here's me obsessing again. I want to just move that over just a little bit. Okay. Oh, something else I wanted to show you, and this is on the hot laminate, is these are let me bring this up to the camera. Piece of wood so that it doesn't fall. Okay, so here's what I just made, and actually this is kind of the way that they would be facing. This is, to me, would be the bottom of each of them. These are just those wooden things that you can buy, real inexpensive. And what I did was, I actually think I used what's it called? Tim Holtz alcohol inks. I think I put alcohol inks on these to give them texture. This I used nail polish. This I used this blue nail polish. It's got a shimmer. It's blue. I just wanted it. I didn't want raw wood. This one. Oh, there's a speck on there that wasn't there before. Okay, well, if I can't get it off, I'll just put some more, I'll resurface it. But on the front, I just wanted a little bit of a shimmer on it. I don't know where it rolled to. And the reason that I did that, let me show you, was I was playing around with these one day, and this is hot laminate that I used an iron on. And I got to thinking, well, maybe I could use those little wood pieces. There's too much flour on here for what I did, so it doesn't look as good as it would if it was less flour. The laminate would lay down better. But you can see that it's nice and smooth, and if I had more wood around these parts where the flowers almost go all the way off the wood, that this would be nicely encased. Unfortunately, where the flower goes right off the wood, you're not getting a nice even finish, but you could. And that was using the hot laminate and an iron to engage the adhesive. And then this, just as a side note, which has really nothing to do with what we're talking about, this was those same, I'll show you. These are those same wood pieces And what I did, and these came colored actually, or this one came colored. These were raw wood. So again, I used the alcohol inks, and then I used Versamark, and then I embossed. So these have an embossed texture, which I think is kind of pretty. And the reason I was playing around with these wood pieces is I had a whole bin of wood shapes that I bought years and years and years ago for using with pressed flowers. And I did, and I put a wet medium over the top when I used those. And then I got to thinking, well, I wonder if one of these other laminates would work. And then while I was doing that, I got to thinking, well, what else will work on them? And yeah, these, let's see if, put it on the frame here. Yeah, see? And I was playing around. Oh, see, this one, that was the original color. That one, it came orange. They were already painted. And so I stained the front, and then this is a reddish, glittery type of embossing powder. And this was greens. I was playing around with different greens. So, anyway, that was just has nothing really to do with what we were doing today, but while I was on the subject of wood shapes, I thought I'd mention that. Okay, so I really need to put, I wanted to demonstrate something, so let's see if we've got a little flower motif that we can make here. Well, we still have some glue. All right. There's a little speck of something that, because these are color enhanced, that I missed, and it bothers me. So I had to fix it. That's what I was doing there. Okay, so we put a little glue back here, and I'm going to put it on this thing. Now remember, we're playing with a laminate that has adhesive, so we want to make sure that we've got room around the edge for the adhesive to stick and not look weird. And I don't know, that might be too much. I'm wondering if we should just let this be the star and just put some greenery or something there. I'm grabbing some foliage. This is that alpine lady's mantle that I talked about in one of my videos that I said I just loved. Look at the texture on that. It's they're very small leaves, so they're wonderful and small work. And look at how it's got that kind of burgundy color gradations in it. I just think these are so beautiful for small work. Let's see if we can use that for something. We're not creating anything grandiose here, so we're just doing this to have some sort of arrangement to demonstrate our overlay techniques. So that's really all we're doing there. I think we will do it in 3. Let's move this. And then let's put this third one. There. Okay. Let's move that in so we've got plenty of border. And all right, so our little kitty wop is here. All right, let's leave it alone. I have a tendency to overwork things and then I break them. Let's see if we have anything that we can do that real quick. Anything small. Well, I know what we could do if I can find it. They're really pretty. Oh, here. Here we go. I did find another one of these guys. It's probably too late now. No, we'll use it. Okay. Well, that's not the best color background. It kind of interferes with that color. That's not a good color. I don't like the color combination. The shape was good, but the color combination was bad. Maybe we can just do a leaf. Let's just do a leaf. Seem to have a lot of these leaves. Oh, I know. Let's do this. Okay. I got it. Okay. Leave us enough room on the border. And then let's find something to put in the middle. It has to be something small. Okay. I didn't really want to use the yellows, but I think this will work. Because it's yellow enough. All right, this is a buttercup, and this is called a Hawaiian star flower. Okay. Let's clean up this surface real quick, and now we'll get to hot laminating and contact paper. My favorites, I love contact paper. The things that I use most often are contact paper, the Xyron, and the hot laminating. The hot laminating I always use for bookmarks because I sell bookmarks to the public, and I just think that's the most professional way to do the bookmarks. Now, before I sold them to the public, I used contact paper, and I only contact papered the one side, and that's perfectly fine for home use. So you can make bookmarks and protect them for very little money. You don't have to have anything fancy. Always think outside of the box, because in the early days, I didn't have any of these gadgets that I have now, and yet still managed to make a lot of different things. So I'm trying to remember to share ideas of things to use if you don't have a lot of the various equipment. But okay, so here's the things we're playing with. We've got these two, and then I'm going to cut these. I probably should have put more space between them just because it's going to be more limited. And the reason I'm doing that, and I want them big, is because I'm not sure if I'm going to put them through the die cut or whether I'm going to do something else. And to show you how anal I am, I feel like that needs something there, so I just have to. I just have to. I just have to put that under there. Okay. And I want one left to try the hot laminating technique. I tried the hot laminating technique on this that I showed you, and I do know that it works, but I want to try it on... of course, I'm not sure why I want to try it. The contact paper works so well, why bother? Or the Xyron, or the cold laminate that you can buy from the store that we talked about earlier. Why do I care if the hot laminate, we hot laminate them? Maybe I don't. Again, the idea is out there, so you can try it or not, and we'll see what I feel like doing. Now, I'll set this aside for a moment, and we are going to talk about laminates. Here's hot laminate pouches. This is CBC brand. It does not tell you what the thickness is, which, as I said earlier, it makes me crazy when they don't tell you. And why they wouldn't tell you, I have no idea. It says it's a value pack, so I assume it's the same as the Iveco that I'm going to talk about in a minute. This has 50 sheets. And I've opened this pack from the bottom just because of the way that it opens. I lay it out like this when I'm working. This is how I work with it. So I'll set this here. And then they come with a pouch. I don't know how that got to stay, but I very rarely ever use the pouches because they'll put it in there and then they'll fold them over. And a lot of times when you open your new package of laminate, this will be folded over because it's bigger than the container. And so it puts these, I don't know if the camera captures it, but it puts these ruts in there. And see, it's just... And if you put something on these ruts and run it through the laminating machine, that's what's going to come out of the other end. You're going to have a product that's got ruts in it. So I don't use these. It's just worthless to me. Now, these are both 3 mil. See how they put 3 mil on there, all nice for you. 50 pouches. Same company, same everything. I don't know if I just bought one at a different time than another and they changed it, or if there's something different about them. Maybe somebody else knows what's going on. But, and again, I've had these for a long time. This one, I don't even think I've opened this one yet. I mean, I've opened it, but I haven't used it out of it because I'm using out of this one. And again, same thing. I open them from the back. This one's almost all gone. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So that's what we're going to work on now, is getting our getting these ready. All right. So, need a pair of good scissors. And I run these through one at a time. In other words, I'm going to cut something to size because I've ruined many a bookmark by putting too many in, and then it doesn't, and then this gets wiggled and jaggedy in there, and it's a big mess. So you can do it, you can try different techniques on yours, but I will cut them to size. So these are all the same length, so I'm going to just cut this, give a little bit of a clearance. Okay. And then we'll get 3 out of this one. 1, 2. And then what I do for these, this is I'm going to use this because we have 4 that we're working on. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit. I don't want that much excess. And then I'm going to cut this down a little bit. Okay. Get this out of the way. Let's take these. Let's move this out of the way. Let's move this out of the way. Okay. Now, these that we cut, they are already attached. I don't know if you can see it, but they're already attached. So when you open them, and I'm dampening my fingers, to get this apart, you gotta finagle it a little bit. The reason I'm working on white paper is because this board's got stuff that's, you know, lint and debris on it, and this will keep everything nice and clean. Alright, so I'm going to put that up there, almost to the top. I've got a little bit of a clearance, and then I am going to smooth that down. And then same thing on this one. Blowing and tapping off any other little debris that might have been doing long. Okay. There's a piece of debris on there. I want to make sure it's off. Okay, now on this one, because it was cut from the bottom, there's nothing holding it together at the top. It's just free form. So what I do is, just to be safe, I take a piece of tape and I run it along the top, and then I fold it over there, and then that way, of course, my only concern now is these corners. I'm going to cut these corners off so they don't catch on the machine. Okay, and then when you put your item in there, I put a little dent in there, so we don't want that part to come. So hopefully our pouch is long enough that we can bypass that. Well, we're cutting the top part off anyway, so it won't matter. We've got more length than we need. Remember, we're going to cut this shorter because this is a different design. All right, so those are ready to go. And I'm going to put a piece of cardboard under here, just any surface that could use a cereal box or anything that gives you a little bit of weight there. And I use, for my pouch container, I just use regular copy paper or printer paper, which is what this is, or this is white cardstock. And for the first run through, I'll probably just use cardstock. I'm going to cut it in half. And set these aside. Bring over our laminating machine. It should be nice and hot by now. And then our cardboard. And here's our pouch. Okay. Alright, let's take this one first. I'm going to set it on here. I'm going to done. And I've even actually put another thing I'll do is I'll show you when I do it. The reason that I'm doing this is because I want to hold that there, and then we're going to get it, catch it. We'll see. I don't know if it's my temperatures or laminating machine, but it always takes me a couple of times. Hopefully we're still on camera, yeah. Okay, and once is never enough, but you can see how, here's the first pass, and it's starting to get a little, what do you call it, wavy here. So I'm actually going to trim it down before the second pass, because it's stuck enough now that I want to leave enough of a border that I can trim it down to the cardstock when I'm done. Give me enough left for trimming, but I want to get rid of some of this stuff. So now we are going to put it through again. Only this time I run it through bare. And it will get a little curve in it, so I just flip them around and put them through until it looks like it's done enough. And this gets ridges in it, so I oftentimes will only get one cycle through, which is a lot of times what I'll use. Now see, that turned out really well. I think we're done now. Okay, there's a little piece of fuzz there which bothers me, so I'll probably end up using corner crunchers, things that rounds the corner. I'll just crunch off that corner that's got that lint thing there, and that will solve that. But otherwise, this turned out, see? 2 passes, it's nice and flat. So what I'll do is I'm going to figure out what kind of top I want on it, which I'll do off camera. You can do anything. You can just use scissors and do the standard cut or fancy cut, anything that you want to do. And then I'll go ahead and show you on the side here just what I'm talking about for cutting. I can show you. Is just simply, when I'm cutting down the sides, I just simply grab my scissors and I just eye this. Let's see what I'm doing. A good sharp pair of scissors. And I take my time because I'd rather be slow and get it right. Okay? And so that's what I do. So I'll cut this out and then I'll do the edges. We'll do one more. You don't need to watch me do all of them. But we will do another one. I'm going to use a piece of copy paper this time. And let's get our trusty board. Excuse me for reaching. Look and make sure we don't have any lint on this one. Okay. And let's go ahead and get it started. what I do, in case you didn't know what I'm doing, I am reaching up under there and grabbing the top one, and I'm kind of holding it up a little bit just so that it lays down, doesn't buckle up. Let's see how this turned out. Yeah, same thing. It's almost done. So we will trim a little off. And run it back through this way. Clean up some of my mess while we wait. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous. Oh my word. I don't know if I want to run it. Yeah. Okay. You can see it. Okay, so I'm going to finish the rest of these off camera when we're done. We're almost done. I'm going to show you how I do bookmarks and ironing on just because I said I would. And find parchment paper. I've got parchment paper that I brought over specifically for this. Ironing part. And normally I'd bring my ironing board over here, but an iron on an ironing board. But we won't do that. You need a small piece of The reason why I'm showing you this is because if you don't have a hot laminating machine, I just want to open up your mind to thinking that there are ways to think outside of the box to accomplish something. And that's what we're doing here. Actually, I want to use a piece of cardstock. This will be our ironing board. Alright, and this is the shiny side up. Let's see what happens. This iron should be good and hot. Oh, and I'll take a small piece of parchment. And I start out with the parchment on the top. Let's see if we can get a result here. I'm starting from the middle and then working out. Is this iron even hot? It's not hot enough. Oh, it's starting, okay. Alright, I'm being impatient. Let's take it down to one piece of parchment paper. And my thinking is that if if this method, which is ironing laminate when you don't have a laminating machine, works on wood, it certainly should work on paper, which we may even try that just because. Let's make sure we're successful on the wood first. Okay, it's starting to go. Now yeah, okay. It's starting to go. I don't know if you can see it. Oh! Now I'm going to take it a little easy on that buttercup, because you probably want to use flowers that aren't, or do leaves or use flowers that aren't super fragile. Although this seems to be working fine. Oh yeah. Oh, I really like that. Okay. All right. I'm not going to put any more pressure on the buttercup right now, because it's laminated, it's doing good, and I don't want to put so much pressure on it that it starts to get funky. Oh, I'm really happy with that. Okay. I'll show you how that turned out. Yeah, I mean, it's... Now, the only thing that I want to do now, before I cut it, is I want to bevel the iron and make sure... See, I'm beveling the iron this way so that I can get the side, I can make sure that the sides are good and, good and stretched over before we cut. All right, so no laminating machine needed. And the reason why I'm doing it on this backing cardstock, besides the fact that I didn't want to do it on the raw wood, is because now, because this is going to stick, this laminate that's, oh, get out of the way, this laminate that's extending beyond the actual arrangement is going to stick to the cardstock. But see, now I can, so now what I would do is get a pair of icky scissors, which is my black ones, and then we will cut around the shape. Okay, I'll finish up the rest later. So I'd go back and finish trimming and finishing, and then take I really like that. That turned out better than I thought. Okay, what I will probably do now off camera is take some sandpaper, some smooth sandpaper and stuff, and a lot of you might already know that technique where you take your piece of sandpaper. Let's pretend this is a piece of sandpaper, and then do your beveled edges and sandpaper around to make that smooth. And then I will put some sort of semi-gloss on the back, or maybe I'll do some stamping or something to make the back pretty. It depends what I use it for. If I'm just going to put it on something, I won't worry about the back except for maybe sealing it. But if I want to hang it for something or do something else, because I think that's really pretty, or maybe use it as a medallion on something. If you have a plaque, you could even make a magnet. There's so many things you can do with this, because doing it on these little wood pieces, or anything for that matter, use your imagination, it's rigid, so it gives you certain design options that paper wouldn't give you. So there's things that you can do with this that you can't do with the paper. And this one I'll do off camera too, but I'll use the same technique. Now, because that turned out so well, let's go ahead and let's do this one. And then the last thing we're going to do is the contact paper, and then we'll be done, just in case you're wondering how much longer I'm going to be droning on about this. Okay, so I want something about this big. Take it apart. Glossy side up. We don't need another backing board per se. However, I don't want to iron the texture of the wood, so I am going to bring these back. This is cardstock 2 layers, so we don't get the wood texture coming through. Make sure everything looks fine. All right, here's our iron. Let's see what happens with this. I want to put a piece of paper down on, where's our parchment paper? I need a bigger piece of parchment paper. Okay, so here. Alright, here we go. So let's recap a couple things that we've learned. If you don't have a hot laminating machine, just get some hot laminate and use an iron. It does work. I've got this on the low delicate setting. That seems to work fine. If you don't have a Xyron machine, you can buy the cartridges and split the top top round thing from the bottom round thing, and then use which. Well, this is. Okay, where did I put the? It's going to demonstrate. I was going to demonstrate the Xyron that I showed you. Anyone else like me? You put all this stuff around you, so it's all you have to do is reach, and it's right in handy. And then when you want to go get it, you have no idea where it went to. Okay, let's check this out. Oh wow. Okay. Well. That's just unbelievable. That works really well. I'm extremely happy with this. Yeah. And then you can run, you don't want to go over the flowers any more than you have to. Those are already sealed in real good. So now I'm just kind of going right up against them with the iron and any little other areas. But go right in here. There's a little. Yeah, so the secret to the hot laminate is to just make sure that you have enough of a border around your design so that it sticks down real good. Okay. All right. Let's bring that up so that you can see how that worked. But see, it's yeah, it just really worked well. All right, so that worked. Contact paper. I love contact paper. What I like about contact paper, although I like the laminate too, it depends on whether you want a glossy finish or kind of a satin finish, because contact paper will give you more of a satin finish. So I'm going to get better scissors than that. I'm going to cut. So I get a piece that's a little bit bigger than what I need for the arrangement. And then just finagling it a little bit. Okay. This is going to be the top side. I'm making sure that there's no cracks and crevices and other imperfections on here before I use it. This is, talk about contact paper for a minute. This is Magic Cover. And this is Magic Cover. And this is my preferred brand. I used clear, or not clear, but contact brand clear shelf liner, or it's usually in your kitchen section is where I usually find it. And they have a lot of designs. It's for shelf liner. How do they tout this? Page protectors. Here we go. Magic Cover. There's their logo. Magic Cover self-adhesive vinyl decorative coating, and I believe it's something like 18 inches long by, I don't know, that is a lot. You get a lot in a roll. Very, very economical. And if you're just starting out, it's really a nice way to get started. The couple of caveats on this is when you peel this paper off, and sometimes I have a hard time getting it started, it makes static electricity. So that's probably the biggest. The hot laminating machine, I've run things because the laminate buckles as it's going through the machine and ruins something. Not very often, but it has happened. This, because of the statics, and I don't glue the flowers down 100%, will cause them to raise, and then you could get something that does the flower that folds over or does something you don't want to. So take it off slowly so that you can try to make the least static as possible. And then I put my hot breath on it. I don't know if that does any good or not, but when you're doing resin, if you put hot breath on resin, it pops the bubbles. So I'm just figuring, well, maybe it helps with static. So excuse me while I hot breath it. Okay. And then, remember earlier when I was putting that other store-bought laminate down, let's make sure we don't have anything on here we don't want. All right. This is the natural way that it wants to curve. And so I'm going to use that. And you always start this way and then roll. So you start in the middle, and I can I'll know real quick as I get closer if these flowers are going to pull up and be weird. And these don't look like they are. So I am going to go down, roll fast, roll out, smooth from the inside out. And there you go. Rub it down. See how fast and easy that is? Now, let's compare the glosses. You see how glossy this is? Compared to the contact paper. The contact paper is kind of a no glare. It's not very doesn't show much glare. So depending upon the look you're going for, I like them both. It just depends. I suppose if I really had to pick one that I personally like better on a lot of things, is I personally like the satiny finish. But I really like that too. So it just depends what you're going for, what you're making. And then I'm going to set that off to the side. We're going to do these two real quick. Well, you know what? I'm not going to do them on camera. I'll do them off camera. The technique is the same. Just roll it down. And if it starts to pull up, do a little more hot breath and take it easy. And like I say, once you get it down close enough and you see what it's going to do, then once you just roll out and try to do it fast before they can lift and mangle. And I'll do that off camera. The other one last thing I wanted to show you is when I was talking about using contact paper on these and then cutting them through the die cutting machine. I wanted to, let me go get the die cutting machine. And this is going to be the last thing we're doing. And do we want, let's see what shapes we have here. Did I bring the plates over? No, I've got to go get the plates. These plates are very well used, and really I need to get a new set of plates, but they still work. I will show you what I would do with this though. I got to put some paper on top because there's so much texture on this plate that it will come through to what I'm running through if I don't. So here we have a bunch of different little shapes. And let's take two that we've done and see. Okay, I think we're going to use this one. Alright, so what we're going to do is, first let's see if this is on screen. Yes it is. Okay. I have a bunch of these. This is the other half of my shipping label, so I have a bunch of these. So rather than throw them away in the recycle bin, I just recycle them this way, and I'm not wasting any extra paper. So let's put this here and make sure to put the cutting side down. I've done that more than once. Put the cutting side not down and then it go through and it doesn't cut anything. And I'm going to need to use the tape. I've got a roll of removable tape, and we are going to get a little piece because this doesn't want to stay in place. Let's position it where we think it looks good. Let's put a piece there. And the reason I'm showing you this is because everybody's got scissors. You could just, you know, if you don't have any machine or whatever, just use a pair of scissors and cut a shape. Or some people have the fancy scissors like these. Now you can use these fancy shaped scissors and cut. Or even a lot of sewers, they have pinking shears. These I use for sewing. These are just pinking shears. So just think whatever you want to do. All right, so that's going to hold that in place. We need our top plating. I don't put any paper there. This plating's still good enough. And now let's run it through. And I usually go through forward and then back just because that's how I do it. And then the reveal. Piece of tape on here, get that off. Okay. Board. Bend it a little bit just to probably what I would do at this point, because there's a little bit of bend in it, is just put it under a book and weight it a little bit, and that'll work thatself out. Or if you wanted to, you could laminate the back too, which I'm not going to do because this will more than likely get glued onto something. Or you could run it through something that puts adhesive on the back. But right now that's just paper on the back, so I'm not really worried. But see how that turned out? So that was with the ironing of the hot laminate on there. And then we'll do one more. We'll do this one. Let's see if we have a... That one's going to take a larger... Boy. That one's going to take a larger something. It doesn't really conduce itself to an oval. If I'd thought about the shape, I'd put something else right there and made a square, but we'll figure something out. Or not. It might take me too long. Yeah, I'm going to have to go through. Do I have any squares handy? Let's see what a circle does. It's too big. That's too big. Yeah, we'll do this, and then if I use it on a card or something, maybe we're going to put some something on here, like a little jewel or something. We'll just circle it, that's fine. Alright. So, get another piece of paper, put this on here, put this on here. Get a piece of tape. Top plating. Run it through. And that crunching sound for people new to these die machines that's normal. Don't worry about it. Nothing's breaking. Okay, there you go. So I think I've about exhausted the topic. If I could find my notes, I'd go, oh yeah, here, let me go through real quick. We talked about hot laminate, using a machine or ironing. We talked about cold laminates like the Xyron and the sheets that you buy at the store that are adhesive. We talked about contact paper. Oh, the one thing we didn't talk about was packing tape. Let's take this little guy and a piece of white paper. And here's some packing tape. Everybody pretty much knows what packing tape looks like. And again, it's kind of the same as when you're using contact paper. I roll it. I'm going to roll it down. And then cut it out. And then, since we have our little circles out, where are those little circles? Oh, here's an oval. No, it's not big enough. Let's try this oval. That's too narrow. All right. Let's do that. let's do that just because, and then we'll call it a day. Okay. This one has little holes in it. Poke the holes out. That's kind of a pretty little thing. Well, there's that. What did we just use on that? Oh, that was packing tape. Yeah, that worked out good. The only thing about packing tape is I've tried to take packing tape where I use packing tape for the bottom and packing tape for the top. And let's see if I have one in here to show you. And what happens, and some of you may be better at double dipping packing tape, and this happens to me on any double laminates like that, is, I don't know if you can see, but I get all these little bubbles. See those little bubbles all in there? This is packing tape. So if you look at packing tape to packing tape quality, see all those bubbles in there? Compared to this quality of that, which is nice and smooth, no bubbles or nothing, then I prefer to use some sort of backing paper. You could use a translucent paper, you know, things that give you a little bit more sheerness. So let your imagination be your guide. I will finish up all the other things that need to be done, and I really thank you for tuning in, and I hope you've learned something. And if you've stuck with me for this long, because this has been a very long video, I appreciate it. And if you have any other ideas that I haven't covered, or questions, or thoughts to share that maybe you've tried something and got a different result than I did, or I forgot to mention something, please feel free to share that. I'd love to hear about it. And have a great day. Thank you.